All right, guys. So the Jets just traded up. They were originally at pick 199. They moved up to 188. And there's quite a few players that are sitting here on the board. So first player up here that I'm intrigued with, right? It's Harold Perkins. Now we were talking about him in a previous video. Look, if I was a defensive coach, I would be all over this, right? I would embrace the challenge of him. Oh, we don't know what position he is, and is he going to be a linebacker? Is he going to be like a bigger safety, an edge rusher? I mean, look at the athletic traits, right? The acceleration, the closing speed, the playmaking ability. There were moments where Harold Perkins was freaking awesome. But besides him, we have Deion Burks, who's somehow still on the board, right? This was, 2 months ago? He was in Daniel Jeremiah's top 50. So, I don't know what happened there from a wide receiver from Oklahoma. Brian Parker, I would say, is the best offensive lineman on the board. It's funny saying center Parker, right? Because, if you think back to this past season, he was a tackle, right? Left tackle, right tackle. But he projects to the NFL. And by the way, they're still talking. I still don't know the pick. He projects to the NFL as more of an interior offensive lineman, right? Guard / center. And I was actually working with the Shrine Bowl this season where I got access to the All-22 practice tape, and Parker was actually taking snaps at center. But, I mean, talk about someone who can play, again, left side, right side, guard, tackle, center. I mean, that's pretty damn versatile here. The only question I have is scheme fit, right? If you're thinking of, or at least when I think about Frank Reich's offense, I think he's going to want, I don't know if Brian Parker, right? Someone who moves really well in space, someone who, I kind of want to maximize that athletic profile. I don't necessarily know if he fits, Frank Reich's offense, but we'll see. We'll see. Scooby Williams, Texas. Oh, here we go. New York Jets selection. Okay. So, Anez Cooper, guard from Miami. This is literally what we were just talking about, right? So Cooper, by the way, starting right guard of the Miami Hurricanes, was a major part of one of, if not the best offensive line in college football, right? But we're thinking about the scheme and the differences between someone like Brian Parker and Cooper, right? 6'5" plus, 330 pounds, 335 pounds. This dude I want going downhill, gap scheme, power, uproot these defensive tackles, right? Be able to get underneath them and drive them backwards. This feels like a Frank Reich offensive lineman, right? When you're thinking back to those days with Indianapolis and whatnot. So, and also being from Florida, I've heard a lot of really good things about all 5 starting offensive linemen for the Miami Hurricanes. I know Bell was drafted earlier, but supposedly Cooper is an extremely hard worker. And obviously the Jets want those types of guys in their locker room, and you can make an argument we haven't had enough of those guys in recent years. So, and real quick, I wonder, will Cooper be the immediate or like the go-to backup right behind Joe Tippmann? He has the size, by the way, super long for the position as well. Definitely has the power and the experience. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. So let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. I think we only have one more pick left, and it's in the 7th round. So we'll see if there's maybe another trade up. But at this point, it might sound a little crazy. I think I would take a look at the kicker market as well. Maybe try to get that position figured out. But let me know your thoughts, and as always, go Jets.